The top 220 Trump meme coin investors were invited to a dinner with President Trump at Trump National Golf Club in Virginia, just outside Washington, D.C. tonight. NBC News reports that a seat at the dinner costs more than $1 million on average, ranging from those who spent less than $100,000 on the coin to those who doled out $37 million. Joining us to discuss is Teddy Schleifer of the New York Times. He covers campaign finance and how billionaires influence American politics. Also with us is former Wall Street banker turned journalist Bill Cohen. He's a founding partner at Puck. Bill, Norm Eisen, who is a former ethics advisor to President Obama, described this dinner to NPR as, quote, the most profound ethics and constitutional emoluments violation in the history of our presidency. And the Qatari jet was just yesterday. So where do we stand on this? Is this, in fact, the most profound violation of the emoluments clause in our history?
It's got to certainly be one of them. I wouldn't want to debate Norm Eisen on that. I think he's usually spot on. I mean, Melissa, this is a president who his superpower is his shamelessness. He cannot be shamed, and he has normalized the grift. So, I mean, whether it's Trump University, whether it's 6 corporate bankruptcies, whether it's the $400 million plane, whether it's this dinner in outside of Washington with the Trump meme coin, or even his SPAC that he created with his Trump social media platform, he has enriched himself to the tune of billions, and he is absolutely shameless about it. And he there's no one stopping him. There's no one thinking it's not right, and he's just continuing onward with it.
Teddy, let's pivot to talk about Justin Sun. Justin Sun is the Chinese-born crypto billionaire who once feared being arrested in the United States. Now he's a top donor to Trump's meme coin. Sun said that he was going to come to the United States to attend the dinner tonight. Can you tell us more about this individual and why the change of heart? Why is he in the United States now?
Sure. I mean, the most kind of relevant thing here is that there's been reporting earlier this year that the SEC, which has been investigating Justin Sun since, I think, 2023, the middle of the Biden administration, is now considering dropping that case against Justin Sun. So there are benefits to being close to Trump. That's obviously no surprise. But, you know, it makes you wonder, what might Justin Sun and Donald Trump be talking about tonight? I have no idea if they're talking about this, but this just sort of shows the conflicts that someone who is under investigation by the SEC, who there's been credible reporting that this case could be dropped, is basically buying his way into a dinner to sit, you know, right next to him.
Teddy, I'm sure they're just talking about crypto. But meaningfully, crypto isn't the only place where the Trumps seem to be cashing in. The Wall Street Journal reports that, quote, Trump's Mar-a-Lago and Bedminster clubs are taking in more money than ever. Wow. Public service never looks so good. What else do we need to know about this, Teddy? And should we be surprised that these ancillary Trump businesses are profiting so handsomely during the second presidential term?
Yeah, I mean, Mar-a-Lago is about to be closed for the summer, but, you know, a seat there is now about over $1 million, which I think is about twice what it cost during the first term. Look, I mean, Mar-a-Lago and Bedminster, to a lesser extent, are these totally unique windows into kind of the way that Trump works, where, you know, during the transition, it was amazing. There would be all these Mar-a-Lago members who somehow could be weighing in on, you know, who do you think the next Deputy Secretary of Defense should be? Why don't you just go shout it over to the table in the middle of the patio? I mean, that $1 million gets you something, right? It gets you access to Trump. And I'm not saying everyone is going to be golfing with him 24/7, but it is this totally unique presidency where, you know, being a Mar-a-Lago member, and if you are a lobbyist or a foreign government who wants to influence Trump, buying a Mar-a-Lago membership has pretty good ROI.